Somebody has to turn the sound down on their computer because it's coming through the computer and the headsets. Hello? Okay. We ready? All right, let's go live. Well, good evening. I hope everyone had a great day. We'd like to welcome you to the March 3rd, 2021 a work session meeting for the School Board of Warrensville Heights City School District. At this time, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator?
Here.
Mrs. Newman?
Here.
Mr. Freeman?
Here.
Mr. Roberts? Miss Mitchell?
Here. We are all here and accounted for at this time. I think we've got the agenda in the wrong order. It should be Pledge of Allegiance first. So we're going to switch that real quick. So the Pledge of Allegiance will be 1.2. I'm sorry, board. We're going to move the approval of the agenda to 1.4, 1.3, and then public participation will be 1.4. So before we get to that change, I will ask the board's forgiveness so that we can follow our proper order and do the Pledge of Allegiance. So at this time, if we can just have a moment, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So now we'll move to item 1.4, which is the approval of the agenda, but I'm going there first so that we can get the agenda in the right order. So as we approve tonight's agenda, I'm going to ask the board if we can please make the changes that I just stated. The Pledge of Allegiance moved to 1.2, public participation is moving to 1.4, and the approval of tonight's agenda is moving to 1.3. So with that, I don't believe there's any other changes. And if we could have a motion on the floor to make that change, that would be great.
I got to get my screen back. I can't do it.
Madam Chair, I'd like to amend tonight's agenda and change items 1.2 to actually be item 1.4, approval of the agenda, 1.3, excuse me, 1.2 should be 1.3, Pledge of Allegiance, 1.3 should be the approval of the agenda, and 1.4 should be public participation.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. I will ask before we take the vote, we are all on our headsets, so please try not to talk so loud because we have one partner who has to not be on the headset tonight, so it's causing really bad feedback. So it's been moved and properly seconded. Dr. Rock, can you please call the vote?
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Gator? Mrs. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Miss Mitchell?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Now we will move to item 1.4, public participation. Mr. Jolly, do we have any this evening?
Want to try this one?
No.
There is no public
Yeah,
participation?
there's no. We received. Can you?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You're getting like the loop.
So we will, if you guys can just bear with us for one moment. For the first time we're having technical difficulties, so just hang in there with us for a little bit and we will get started. We've got to change a laptop over here. Just thank you for your patience.
But somehow one of these is in.
If we can stay on mute while we're waiting.
hear me now?
No,
Yes.
we cannot hear him over the headsets.
Can't hear me over the headset at all.
I did that time.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Let me see. Is it a way to turn it up? How about now?
Yes.
How about now?
Just a little bit.
Hear me now?
Yes.
All right, one more minute. The computer is all messed up.
Considering we've been at this for almost a year now, and this is just the first night we've had really bad technical difficulties, I say we're doing all right. Just take your time.
Okay, I'm
All
ready.
right. We are back in business. Thanks everyone for waiting there patiently with us. We are going to move on with our agenda. Mr. Jolly, you said there were or there were not any public participation.
There were no public participation for today.
Awesome. Awesome. Then with that, we're going to move on over to section 3 of our agenda, return to school, where we will receive district committee updates, and we're looking forward to those updates.
Yes, so I would like to first just share with our principals are on the phone on the call tonight. Our team and our district, since we've been back, or even before we came back, we saw the need to provide intervention for our students. We saw and we understood that there would be large gaps in learning for students coming back to school with the large layoffs that exist. So what myself and the curriculum team, we charged our schools with creating a fourth quarter intervention plan. Each school is charged with creating a plan in which they are basically going to remake how the fourth quarter is going to look, where they look at each child and then provide a plan to catch each child up to where they need to be. And if we have children that already have the standards, they're gonna have plans to accelerate those children. Each school has took a very inclusive approach, including teachers, the principals, various different stakeholders, to ensure that the plan is all inclusive and is one that will be not something that we've ever seen or traditional before, but one that encompasses the entire team working together to make sure that our kids are at grade level or beyond, um, prayerfully by the end of the summer. But we have a plan moving forward. Now, this plan in particular, each child will have their own monitoring plan, so we'll know where kids start and where kids end. The elementary students have already been tested, so we have starting on points. Schedules will be disrupted, but the focus will be on each child and their learning. So today we do have a special day, and the middle school asked to go first. Today is Miss Harris's birthday, so we can say happy birthday to Miss Harris.
Birthday.
Happy birthday.
And we're going to go out of order, and the middle school will present first. Each team has been given 10 minutes to present their plan and to answer any questions that you may have. So, Miss Harris, the screen is yours. Miss Salters, the screen is yours.
Oh, okay, so we would like to thank you all for allowing us to present tonight to you all our intervention enrichment plan. I will start with an overview of when we'll get started and why we're addressing the learning loss due to COVID-19. At the middle school, we will start from April 6th to May 24th. That'll be fourth quarter. And the scholars will receive intervention and enrichment Monday through Friday. It will equate to 11 periods of intervention per week. Enrichment will be provided to all honor classes and students. They will receive research-based projects, and they will use Springboard. The standards that we selected for our intervention was an itemized analysis of 3 years of trend data from the OST where our students didn't do well. And students will be grouped based on our winter iReady data and our third quarter district benchmark. Our benchmark ends on March 9th. So on March 10th, when we don't have students, teachers will be able to come together and they will have that data so they can devise their plan of which students will be in which groups based upon their data. The resources that we'll be using for the middle school is our Ready Toolkit for ELA and math. That would be for all our tier 1 students. And for our tier 2 students, we will use Goldbook for ELA and math. And for science, and we were going to use this platform called Gizmo, and they have a tier 1 and tier 2 intervention in there for them. And for social studies, although I know it's not a tested grade for OST, our students still need to be ready for the assessment. So we will use the CAP assessment questions for that day. Our teachers will be able to plan together during their teacher-based team times during fourth quarter. This is where they'll analyze the data and it will inform them for the framework they'll go into for the next week. So just because a student may be low in, for example, slopes this week, it doesn't mean they will stay in that low group. The whole goal is to be able to progress monitor weekly so we can put students where they need to be. The intervention plan will continue into our extended school year based on the data that we see from this fourth quarter. Teachers will progress monitor weekly and they have a spreadsheet where it will determine if students are still at risk, if they met the needs, or we can, or they accelerated. Parents will be communicated of what we're doing through Google Classroom, Remind, Class Dojo, and IC. We noticed that our students have to, for them to really want to be a part of this, we do have to assign a grade to it as well. So for middle school, we noticed before at one time we had interventions all day. Our scholars didn't really do well with having interventions all day. By the time they got to 10th period, they were tired of intervention. So we made it work for us. So you can go to the next one. On Mondays and Tuesdays, we will have math intervention in all the math classes. These students, we got double blocks of math, and the science teachers will support the math teachers during this time. Some teachers co-teach with people, and those that don't, the science teachers will come in and support them to take the high and the low group. And that we will cover our virtual students and our in-person students. And all of the science teachers see all of the math students. So it's not like they'll be getting introduced to a new teacher. In the virtual world, they will have a breakout room and that teacher will go with those students. And the in-person kids will switch around, but they will still go with the teacher that they already know. So so looking at this schedule, on Monday and Tuesday, we will do math. But when you look at Wednesday, I know you see science, social studies, and the encore. That's the day that we will do intervention for them. And then for Thursday and Friday, we have ELA teachers. Those teachers will have intervention that whole day. And the social studies teachers will support them. But we also don't want to lose our fourth quarter learning loss because we still have fourth quarter standards. So for math, so if you look at math, Monday and Tuesday is intervention. Starting Wednesday, they will start with their fourth quarter standards. So we won't have that learning loss for fourth quarter either. This is how we plan to keep the learning loss you can go on, from fourth quarter to have intervention and fourth quarter learning going on at the same time. What you will see next is the teacher's schedule and the standards that they will work on week by week. So each class and grade created a calendar of what standards that they felt they needed to work on based upon the data that we got from our OST data on our trend data for 3 years. So these were the most targeted standards that our teachers felt based upon our data, and we devised our plan. We will be giving parents communication through IVR messages and Google Meets, and again through Remind and Class Dojo, just to keep them abreast of everything that's going on. And what you're seeing now is just the calendar and schedule for each teacher. But the Encore teachers are also going to support our ELA and math teachers on Wednesdays. So in their classes, if they didn't finish something in the intervention, they will be able to do that in their classes. So the whole school will have a plan, and every day we will touch intervention and or enrichment. Let me see what you'll see next. And these are the resources that we are using, the platforms that we are using for our intervention enrichment plan. And next, these are the assessment platforms that we are using for our plan. And do you have any, thank you, and do you have any questions?
Board, are there any questions?
Madam Chair, I do have a question.
Go right ahead.
Hi, Ms. Harris. I just wanted to ask you, what do you see as the challenges for this model? What is the challenges that you and your staff have noticed tonight?
I think you said, what challenges do we see?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The only challenges will be if sometimes if you have people that are absent, which we have no control over anyone that may or may not catch COVID. Those will be the challenges.
Okay, thank you.
I do have one question. Thank you, Ms. Harris. The Encore, that's all of the core classes that the kids take?
The Encore are the Spanish and computer, the elective classes.
The elective classes, okay.
So, Ms. Harris,
Yeah.
can she hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
The time for math is what time? What time is math Monday and Wednesday? How long is math?
Math is a double block, so they will receive an additional 200 minutes.
Okay. And how many students do we have per class now?
That's in person or online. So we have
I'm talking about in person.
So our largest class in person is 13 students.
Okay.
But we are also focusing on our virtual students as well.
Oh, okay. And how is that working?
It's been working well. You will have the teachers and the students that, like you see us right now on the computer, and the teacher will project the information. Mm-hmm. But if students have questions, they put it inside the chat so that the students virtually don't miss out on what's going on in the classroom either. So we've been making it work.
Oh, okay. So how do we offer extra help for those students that are doing virtual? How do we manage that? So those students that need the extra help that's not in person.
So this is why we have an all-day intervention plan for those that we're not going on without them. They get intervention as well.
Okay. All right.
So just to recap, all of our scholars in person and virtual, everybody that requires their intervention will go through the intervention program. They will either be in person or they will be virtual. No student left behind.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I want to note that all of our students don't need interventions. For those that don't need it will get enrichment time.
Okay. Okay. Great.
And that's usually in the afternoon? Is that in the afternoon?
During the period.
It'll be all day?
It will be during the periods that, so if I'm in an honors class and I have honors math on Monday and Tuesday, that will be my enrichment time. And then starting Wednesday, I will start with my fourth quarter standards.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Harris, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Exciting.
Madam Chair, can I just ask one quick question? Just a clarifying question.
Mhm.
They talked about tier 1 and tier 2. Can you just clarify what that is, what the difference is?
So for tier 1 is what you do for all students. And once
Okay.
we get our data based upon our data, and you will see who have bigger needs and gaps,
Mhm.
those one will need more intensive intervention. So then we have curriculums to address our tier 2 students.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Ms. Harris.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your birthday.
Thank you.
All right. So next up, we have Principal Thompson for the Lord Elementary School, who will present her plan. Ms. Thompson, the screen is yours.
I want to just say real quick, it is also Miss Thompson's grandmother's 90th birthday today.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
And she is waiting up for me. So when I get done, I will go to her.
All right.
That's dedication.
Yes, it is.
Right. All right, Ms. Thompson.
All right. Do you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Warrensville High City School District?
You're right.
All right, cool. All right. So here is my plan for the elementary school, which is kindergarten and first grade. What you're seeing now is our lower level daily schedule that we're going to kind of change. So the students will continue to get their on track with foundations and Haggerty, which is our pieces to read and literacy components. Very important. So they will continue on track there. They'll continue to get a read aloud and language comprehension lesson. Where you see the literacy skill 1 rotation and literacy skill 2 rotation is where their day will begin to change. And so based on the need of every child, we'll figure out which rotation they'll belong in. So each child will get 2 rotations based on the skills that they need. Right now, we are focusing on our literacy piece for our youngins to build that strong foundation for reading. Our math will look the same. Our teachers will work together to create a pacing so that we remain together in the area of math, and they'll continue with their math interventions in the classroom. Our focus skills is building a strong foundation. Letter identification, letter sound, decoding, blending, segmenting words, which is basically taking the sounds apart and putting them back together. Reading fluency and retail, and then definitely some handwriting while working on the retelling of stories. Our student groups will look below 1 level in advance. And those areas include first sound fluency, letter naming fluency, phoneme segmentation fluency, nonsense word fluency. You see the word fluency through here, and that's the automaticity. That's the ability to be able to name these things quickly. And so fluency is important when building the skills to help them learn to become fluent readers. Because if we can read fluently, then we kind of tend to understand what we're reading so that we can be able to retell and regurgitate some of the things that we've learned. A choppy reader tends not to be able to comprehend and then tends not to be able to recite what they've learned. First grade, we have some nonsense word fluency, oral reading fluency, which is accuracy, retail, and the quality of what you retail. Progress monitoring. So our start date on this looks like April 6th when we come back from spring break, which is Q4. We are using a cadence. We've used a cadence to kind of benchmark the students to find out where every scholar belongs. That was a one-on-one human to human assessment. We're going to do the 3rd benchmark the week of May 17th to kind of get an idea of the growth, or to make sure that we don't need to look at a different avenue on how we are providing that instruction. And then the end date will be the 17 days after June 3rd, if it is approved. Communication, definitely to the parents. Parents will be given a printout of their child's progress and a parent-friendly report after each progress monitoring session, which is bi-weekly, and after the third benchmark, which will be in May. So they'll be able to literally see the progress that their child has made. Teachers will send out communication with parents via Class Dojo, as well as our Google Classroom. We'll definitely celebrate success with our students. They'll be made aware of the plan and what's happening prior to the start date. And then they'll definitely be made aware of their progress by way of celebrations. And then once again, it'll continue through the 17 days of the extended school year if board approved. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I have a question, just a comment, because you mentioned something in the very end there about celebrating the students. And I think that's important to be able to celebrate how far that they've come. I'm wondering, board, if that's something that we could somehow try to incorporate into one of our meetings, maybe bring some of the students into a meeting, even if it's a Zoom, to highlight the work that they're doing. So I wanted to thank you for mentioning that because I think that's important. You know.
Absolutely, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Are there any other comments, questions? Hearing none, I just want to say thank you again. Very thorough report, very easy to understand. And congratulations again to your grandmother on her birthday. That's a very special milestone.
Thanks.
Celebrate.
Excellent. Excellent job, by the way.
All right. So last but not least, we had an upper elementary, Mrs. Shaw and Miss Bishop, who will present their plan. Ms. Shaw, the screen is yours.
All right, so good evening, everyone. So Ms. Shaw and I are going to tag team this. We can go to the next slide, Ms. Shaw. All right, so I tried to make it, how do I want to say, like, this is something that we have to do. As we know, the superintendent has charged us at different times, and I felt like this was a charge, and I was thinking, and I thought this is called, we're calling it Operation Closing the Gap, OCTG, okay? And so I just want to make a little, start with a little beginning here, where to date, the elementary school has given out over 1,000 Chromebooks, countless hotspots, supplies, textbooks, etc., to support the learning of all students. Teachers use their planning time and after school hours to contact the parents to help the students with homework, to answer any questions, and to just be a listening ear during this struggling time. So we want to thank the teachers. You are definitely essential. But with even all of our efforts, we recognize that there's a greater need to fill up the gap that the pandemic has created. So therefore, we have a plan to meet this challenge. So our timeline is pretty much the same. My esteemed colleague, Ms. Thompson, and I, and all of our admin here at the elementary, we work together in tandem. So some of the slides you'll see will look a little similar. So starting February 22nd, the superintendent really right before that called us all together and said, we have to come up with a plan to help our students. So we started February 22nd, and it's going to go through March the 19th. The admin, teachers, and support staff will be and have been assessing students in reading and math. March 19th through the 26th, the instructional groups will be created, and a parent letter will also go home to follow up the teacher communication. And as with the middle and the lower level, April 6th, the skills-based intervention instruction begins at that time. So that gives everybody an opportunity to get it really set so that we can have the explicit instruction to happen. So what you're going to see next, you can go to the next slide, Ms. Shaw. You're going to see an example, and I will share with you that every team, grades 2 through 5, they devise their plan. So these are really their plan. We're presenting it, but it's really their plan. It's what they came up with. They worked hard on it. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Shaw right now.
Good evening, everyone. So here's one of our sample schedules. So this is what second grade has devised in order to meet the needs of students who are both in person and who attend our virtual academy. This is a 6-man team. So we have 3 of our teachers in person. They will be working together. They will have their encore time as usual. They'll check in with their homeroom teachers, and then their intervention rotations start. So those rotations will be comprised of students who fall into certain intervention groups based on our assessment data. So once we are finished assessing all the students in reading and math, that's when we can pinpoint which specific skills will be addressed during each rotation. Lunch is at the same time. They'll continue rotation number 2 and 3, and at the end of the day, they'll return to their homeroom, get prepared to go home, and start it all again the next day. We have 3 more teachers, so 1 more in person and 2 teachers with all virtual academy. So this is how they will work together to address their students' needs. They will still have their common encore at 9. Again, a teacher check-in. Then they will have 3 shorter rotations because our virtual academy students have an AM session and a PM session. Then they'll have lunch. In the afternoon, another teacher check-in with the next group of online students, and they will continue with the rotation. Now, that one class of in-person students, they will get a double dose of their reading and math interventions. So here's one example of an interesting and creative way that the team figured out how to service both kids in person and online at the same time. So here are our major focus skills. For English language arts, we will be focusing on phonics, fluency, and comprehension. This is for grades 2 through 5. In mathematics, we are focusing on those foundational skills, namely place value. Fact fluency is a big one. For our 4th and 5th graders, those fractions and decimals. Our students will be grouped by skill based on our assessment data. So we want you to note that all students will have their own learning plan. There will be, for the students who score below grade level, they will receive specific targeted interventions. For the students who have scored on grade level based on the assessments, they will continue to get their grade level instruction. And then for the students who place above grade level, we'll keep pushing them along and they will receive enrichment. Now we will be progress monitoring. This is how we will do it for English language arts. We will be using a program called Phonics for Reading. That is a tier 2 or an intervention phonics program that will be monitored bi-weekly. For the students who don't need the additional phonics supports, we'll be doing reading fluency checks and comprehension checks that will also be monitored bi-weekly. And again, also teachers will do quick checks as they usually do during instruction. For mathematics, we'll be using Acadians, and they will be progress monitored using that program bi-weekly. We also use Simple Solutions. It's a spiral review, so the teachers will be able to do a daily check. And again, the teacher quick checks during their daily instruction will be occurring as well. Ms. Bishop, on to you for communication.
Right, so the same as Ms. Thompson shared, teachers are going to be sending out communication with parents via Class Dojo and Google Classroom. The parents will receive progress reports. We're going to create just a short, simple sheet, even that we'll be able to fill out where they were at, what they're doing right now. Are they meeting progress? Is it steady? Or are they still having some difficult times? And as the middle school shared, a student won't have to remain in a particular group. If they're making pretty good progress, then they will move on. It'll be flexible grouping as well. The students, we're going to be sharing a plan with them prior to the start date. we wanted to share the why with them. It's been a very hectic, next week, it will be 1 year since we all went out, right? And even though we've been doing online instruction, it's been very inconsistent for students. So we want to share with them, why are we doing this for the last 9 weeks? And then students will, of course, be made aware of their progress. Okay, and so the extended school year, so our OCTG will continue through the 17 additional days, of course, if it's approved. And one of the things we realize is we won't need to stop and start something again. Whatever students, the parents that sign them up, we'll just pick up and just keep going. We won't have to have a stop part, figure out what we're doing, where are they at, we'll already know. So we're getting a huge amount of time prior to, say, summer school or anything. So this was a great implementation by the superintendent for us to get a jump start so that we can truly try to close that gap and catch our students up from where they were. So we want to thank you all at this time. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for the great presentations. I do have one quick question. It's very good to hear how you all have been communicating with the parents through the virtual methodologies. How are parents responding? Are they timely? Is it hard to reach them? Is it easier to communicate with parents during this virtual life that we're living right now?
So I'll just speak for grades 2 to 5. You always are going to have some parents, it is difficult to get a hold of them. But I would say, everybody has this, everybody has a phone. And so we found that sending paper messages out don't always work. Either don't make it home, or they don't check the book bag, or somewhere between grandma's house and home, they lose it. But through Class Dojo, through and Google Classroom, the parents are responding. You always have a few, but our parents are pretty good about signing up for Class Dojo so that they can get the information from the teachers. So I would say it's been pretty good.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Ms. Thompson or Ms. Harris, you all can share as far as lower and middle school.
Definitely likewise for lower. And I do congratulate our teachers for doing an exceptional job in using all methods of communication with parents and knowing which method works best for each parent.
The same at the middle school. We
critical.
use Remind in Class Dojo and Google Classroom, and I think that the teachers have done an exceptional job with communicating with parents.
That's good. Go if that's fine, come on off mute.
Ms. Shaw or Ms. Bishop, on engagement for the virtual students, how is that going? I know we have a few virtual learning. How's that going, engagement?
I would say engagement in virtual learning is pretty good. At first, I anticipated that a lot more students would have a harder time with their lessons, and they're really doing a great job. So they follow the instructions, they come on, they have their cameras on, their microphones off, they raise their hand or they put the little emoji up when they want to participate. They type questions in the chat and answer questions in the chat. So it's really exciting to see how engaged the students are, even the little ones. And a lot of times, well, sometimes we have parents in the room too, who are right there supporting the teacher and their students when they need the help. So I think for the most part, the virtual students are doing really well.
Thank you.
So the majority of the students are in person or virtual? The majority of our students?
It's about half and half.
It's about half.
So we actually counted that up right now on our new wonderful campus that you see in our Ms. Thompson in my background. That you all are enjoying downstairs. Ms. Shaw and I are upstairs. We have our first fire drill. We have 527 students on campus.
Oh, okay.
527. We have over 800 students if they're all in place, but we have 527 who are actually here. And we have
Okay.
about half that are at home right now.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Jolly?
So you can see the work that our team has done. You see, we have, in my opinion, the best principals in the state of Ohio. You see the
Mm-hmm.
attention to including our teachers and staff. You see how they work with our staff to ensure the plan, and you see their commitment to our scholars. I know that they say, people say the kids are doing better online, but
Mm-hmm.
these are the people who told me we need them back in school immediately, because they do see a lot of students that need to be in school. They need to be around people. They need the social emotional aspect of school. They need the human touch, and they need to sit down one on one with people. And I think that this team has done an outstanding job. You got to think that we merged three schools together during the pandemic. We put all of these, especially here at the elementary school, we put all these people together, and
Mm-hmm.
seamlessly, they're working together to ensure our students are excelling. And just think about just the drop off and dismissal, the amount of coordination that has to take each and every day when you merge three schools together, three different processes, three different procedures. And within 3 days, it was seamless. So I just want to commend these leaders that we have. The middle school, our high school, they'll be presenting on the 17th. They have a little more intensive plan because,
Mm-hmm.
we got graduating seniors, we got different needs at the high school, so they need a little more time to develop their plan. But they'll be ready on the 17th. Mr. Vaughn and myself met today to make sure that we cover all aspects of their plan. And one thing I did is allowed them to be as creative as possible. This is not a Mr. Jolly mandated plan. I just gave them some guidelines, that we have to monitor what we do. We have to know where kids start. We have to know where kids end. We have to follow the union contract. And other than that, they can do whatever they feel is necessary to make it work. As the middle
Right.
school principal stated, her situation is different than the elementary school. Um, and her plan is different accordingly because of the attention span and different things that happen at the middle school that's different than the elementary school. So this plan is these plans together are put together for the best interest of our students. In addition, you see the governor said that they wanted intervention plans by April 1st. But we've been working on this since November. We started an extended school year team in like December, started meeting and talking about it. Intervention team. So we've been talking about this for a long time. And I say that we are far and ahead and above a lot of places because we have visionaries on our team, not just people checking dots, but they're thinking ahead and trying to do what's best for the students of this community. So I thank our team and also thank the board for having the trust in us to do this work. It's very comforting to know that the people who employ you trust you to do the work. Because a lot of times that doesn't happen and the kids suffer and the community suffer. But this board has been very supportive of all the innovative things that we're doing. And I think us as a team all appreciate it. So we thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jolly. Again, kudos and congratulations to all of you for everything that's been done. To your point, Mrs. Bishop, for a whole year now. It has been very interesting, very tumultuous, but we have continued to push on through. We lifted and we shifted when we needed to. So we do appreciate the time that you all have taken to bring this information to us, present it to us. Bear with us as we ask our questions, um, because we're very interested in what you're doing. You all are the experts, we're not. So, as Mr. Jolly said, it is a good feeling to know we have the right people in place to build out what we need to have developed to continue to enrich and enhance our children's education. So thank you.
All right. So as we move on to the next, I have the other report, so I'm gonna go through each report and just share where we are in different aspects. Um, so we heard a lot of talk about the extended school year. So we're working with you very, very, very closely. to the governor came up with, wanted us to do an extended school year, which we've been working on since December, November. And we want to present it to the board probably at the March 17th meeting. We're working right now with the unions to try to come up with a MOU. But basically, our plan is strongly recommended to all scholars in kindergarten through 11th grade to 10. Our seniors will be graduating. We're looking at transition plans where the 5th graders will go to the middle school possibly for the extended school year. The 8th graders will go to the high school in preparation for the next school year. Contractually, we have 17 days additional. This will put us to June 30th. That's strategic so that the parents and teachers have the whole month of July off. So we want to end it at the end of June, which is 17 days starting on June 5th and excluding Juneteenth, the holiday that the board approved last year. All employees will be paid their per diem for each day work. Work collaboratively with Dr. Ward, Dr. Rock, to look at funding. We do have money coming in for the COVID money. And then we also have Title I money that we can appoint to this. So we believe that we can, and we know that we have budgeted amount to take care of it. So the memorandum of understanding it just be for this year with both unions. And basically what we in working with the union, I don't think we can get all the teachers, we can't make it mandatory. So we want it to be voluntary for teachers that want to participate. The contract will continue. So it'll be the same contract that they're currently under. And basically it'll be an extension of the 4th quarter intervention. So in the event, if in the event that we come up short with teachers and we have more students than teachers, then as classic summer schools, we will have to go outside the district to fill those spots. And we will come up with a number, a pay number to find teachers that's outside the district to ensure that any child in our district that wants to go to extended school year will have that opportunity to attend extended school year. Here are some of the questions that, because we talked to the union sent us some questions, and it's just some of the things that the union members had questions with, and I just wanted to share them with you guys. They had questions about will the class sizes still be in effect, and of course they will. On the curriculum will be the same curriculum as we use in the 4th quarter. Will CTE teachers be able to participate? And again, when we originally did the budget, we planned for every teacher to participate. So CTE teachers, and talking to Mr. Vaughn today, we will find if they choose to participate, we will use them for exposure to provide kids with opportunities to earn some credits. We're looking at all options to use all our teachers. The deadlines to commit. So we set these deadlines. We're going to have our parents and scholars sign up from April 6th to April 23rd. That's 2 weeks. With the help of our teachers and staff, they will encourage parents to sign up. We want every child to sign up. Our staff will have the week of April 26th to April 30th to commit. And then by May 7th, we will inform the staff members of if they will be participating or not. Another question, some of the teachers or staff requested if they could just partially do they could do certain days and not do certain days. At this time, we would prefer that all people be consistent and do the whole 17 days for consistency for students. If we changing up teachers every day or every other day, that is not the best learning environment for our staff or our students. How will teachers get paid? In consulting with the Treasurer's Department, they'll receive an additional check on a regular pay schedule. So that additional money will come. And then elective or encore teachers, they will assist in reading and math intervention. And then they asked about what if it's or more teachers and not enough students, we'll work with the union on that to determine who works. And then what are the school hours? It'll be under regular school hours as the MOU is written, because it's, in order to get full pay, we have to have a full work day. And then what does it look like? Start and planning, instruction time. It'll look just like the fourth quarter. So as you heard the plans from the schools, the same thing's going on in the fourth quarter. And then speech teachers and counselors, they will assist. So at this time, I want to ask any questions about the extended day proposal that we will be bringing to the board soon, as soon as we complete these MOU, talking through the MOU with the union. Any questions about extended school year?
Board, are there any further questions? If you have
Yes,
any,
madam.
please come on off mute. Go ahead, Mr. Roberts.
Yes, Madam Chair. I do have one question for Mr. Jolly. I saw the schedule for the teachers to commit. Did I miss the time frame for the parents and students?
Yes, that's right before then. So I'm not gonna go back.
I think it was April 6th through the 23rd.
Yes, as soon as we come back from spring break, as soon as we come back from spring break, we want to. As soon as we come back from spring break, we want a 2-week period for all parents to submit. If we need to extend that, we can extend those dates. We just want to inform our teachers in enough time for those who have outside commitments and so forth, that either they're working or not. We want everybody to work, and we want every student to work. That is our goal.
All right, thank you, sir.
Mr. Jolly, is the 17 days, is it mandatory for all students?
It is not mandatory for all students. We are going to highly encourage all students to participate.
Why wouldn't it be mandatory if they done miss almost I'm going to say,
yeah,
they done missed three months.
So here's the concern with making it mandatory. Again, we're already in March. You know, parents and people plan things and have all the kids go away from the summer. So we haven't given families enough time to adequately plan or prepare for that. And if the kids don't come, what they're going to then we're gonna have to penalize them if they don't come. So just say we extend the school year, make it mandatory. And I go to Atlanta every summer with my grandmother, and I go to Atlanta. So now we're marking this kid absent 17 days. So for this year, we elected to make it not make it mandatory out of respect for not giving parents enough time to adequately prepare. And then also our staff, we come in March with making a mandatory additional day. Now, as we come to you with the calendar for next year, all of this will be inside the calendar so that people know before the school year starts exactly how long the school year is going to be. So that was our thinking behind it.
I do have a question, Mr. Jolly, just to kind of play off what your discussion just then. For those students who need the intervention, but their families have made other plans so they won't participate, how will we bring them up to speed come the next school year?
So just like we have this intervention plan for the fourth quarter, this won't stop. It will continue. Okay. We actually are looking at the first quarter, possibly next year, continuing the intervention depending on where we are. I do know that there will be the testing. They're still debating if they're going to test this year and if the test going to count. But we can rest assured that the test is going to count next year. We know that we got a lot of vessels that got various different empty spaces in it. So preferably, the majority of our kids elect to come to the extended school year so that we can fill those vessels. But if they don't come, because again, being fair, not wanting to have truancy on people, they're not going to show in the summer because we haven't given them the appropriate time. We will incorporate additional days into our calendar next year. That will be mandatory to try to make sure that we are respectful of the teachers, respectful of the staff. So it's a hard balancing act in order to get it done.
Okay,
Any other questions?
thank you.
Yeah,
Ms. Cooper?
real quick. So there was a concern from the union, I think it was, about the class sizes. Can you just refresh my memory? What is the class size in according
So
to?
it depends on the role. I think like we have some third grade classes that's probably about 24, but they have two classes. So let me give an example. We go upstairs, it's two classrooms. It's not one class. So you take a traditional 1,000-foot class, they have two classrooms. It's 2,000-foot classroom. So if you're thinking about it, you think of a regular classroom, we have those dividers in the wall. Those dividers are open, so that teacher has two rooms to adequately space the students. In the high school and middle school, no more than 13 per class. But here in third grade in particular, we have large classrooms, but the large classrooms are paired with another class so that they have two classes instead of one, and that's two. And then the one class is 16. That's just one person. A regular class got 16. And that's Miss Lewis.
So if it's two teachers, I'm trying to follow. If it's two teachers and they each have 24 students in the classroom, no?
So you have a virtual teacher paired with a regular teacher. A virtual teacher is not in the room. The virtual teacher is assigned to a different location. That teacher takes both classes. So it's one teacher with 24, but she has two classroom spaces because we got the removable wall. So the removable wall is removed, and she has both classes, not just her one.
All right, so 24 is the magic number here at the lower elementary school for COVID classes.
Right.
Okay.
In high school, we have less students. We have about 130 at the middle school, and at the high school, average about 90 a day at the high school. There's no class size issues at the high school.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so I'll move on to the middle school transition. So, as you know, the middle school is is slated to be closed at the end of this school year. So I just wanted to give you an update on this process, how this is going to go. So right now, Ms. Lockett is getting quotes from 3 moving companies to move the building. So basically, like we move Eastwood, Westwood, and John Dewey, we will have the teachers packed, but we get the 3 companies to bid on it. I think we didn't even get the $25,000 when we moved at 3. So, but we'll bring what it is to the board so you can review it. Ms. Harris is working on final room assignments. So we've already walked John Dewey and looked at the classrooms at the middle school and John Dewey, and they fit. We can fit middle school inside of John Dewey. We approved the moving company. And then these are the important dates. So 5/17 is 6/4. The middle school teachers are packed. 5/24 to 5/28, we're having packing of artifacts and memorabilia. The middle school is full of memorabilia, and we got to figure out what's the best way to preserve it. So we'll start working on that. 5/29, we're gonna say save the date to say goodbye to the middle school. I'll talk later about who's on the committee. We formed a small committee with teachers and alumni to just talk about how to properly close the middle school or for community and parents and so forth. The auction of excess middle school equipment. So these are some things I'm gonna go through that too. What are we gonna do with all that stuff in there? We can't just throw it away. So like we did with Randall, we had an auction. We had a company come by, tag things, and then there was an online auction, and then we will receive the proceeds from that auction. So that process is what we have to do for here and Eastwood, Westwood, and John Dewey also. So we plan to do that because we have to run the school. And when I say excess middle school equipment, we still got to run the school all the way until Memorial Day. So with that, you got kitchen equipment in that building. You got so much stuff that we do not want to just go down with the building. So it's an opportunity for the district to make money. And then the week of June 7th to 11th, That would be the actual move from the middle school to John Dewey. Are there any questions about this process? Any questions? So this is our plan. We gonna execute the plan, and I'll keep you updated on where we are with that.
Superintendent Jolly.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is Principal Bishop. Sorry, I had to dial in. I'm on my way. But I just wanted to really clarify for Ms. Gator, we do not have all classes for the upper grades with 24.
Right.
Those we only have 2 classrooms that have more, and I'll explain why we did it that way. Those classrooms have removable walls, as the superintendent shared. If you come and take a look, and I would encourage you all to come and take a look, you'll see in those 2 classrooms, we opened up those walls. We have a huge learning space. So because we have all of that space, we could get double the amount of our average is 14 students. All the other classes 14. For 4th grade, we have a couple that have 15. But we went in and measured 6 feet. Everybody has a shield. Everybody has their mask. So it's only 2 3rd grade classrooms, only 2 that have that size. Those teachers that their classrooms that were virtual, they actually were placed in one of our conference rooms and in another small room, and they're teaching their students virtually from there. All of it was done with cooperation and communication with those teachers. And the reason why we did that was because we had more 3rd grade students who would have been virtual, which would have made the 2 virtual classrooms that currently have 24 and 25, they would have had close to 36 and 38. So we took 1 teacher and made another teacher virtual. So we have 3 3rd grade virtual teachers and 3 in-person teachers. And so only those 2 classrooms. I just wanted to make sure that part was clear. There aren't 24 kids per class throughout grades 2 and 5. Only those 2 classrooms with the larger room size to accommodate them.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Ms. Bishop. I think the board clearly understands
Right.
where the class sizes are. And also,
Okay.
I just also, while we're here, just also the teachers and grades 2 to 5 for their assistance and flexibility and helping with the plans and just teaching the kids every day, because they're doing an outstanding job. All right,
Amazing job. Teachers are doing an amazing job. They really are very dedicated. We have a fabulous team doing a great job.
Yeah. So thank you, Ms. Bishop. We definitely appreciate your input and the work that you're doing. All right. So the celebration of middle school committee. These are some alumni and various people. Anybody's welcome to sit on this committee. So any board member that wants to sit on this committee, we have 1 meeting just to throw out some information. But most of them are alumni who went to the middle school or junior high. And we have Savannah, who is our communications person. But what we want to do is just plan some type of event to commemorate the middle school. So we're open to anybody that wants to sit on the committee. The next meeting is Tuesday, the 9th at 4 o'clock. If you're interested, just send me an email. We're open to any ideas. We just want to send our schools out in a good way. We want people to be able to come back and be able to memorialize it and really send them out with a bang. So save the date. Today we talked Memorial Day weekend, the 28th and 29th are tentative dates for something to happen. We just have to determine what it would be. Are there any questions about the celebration of the middle school committee? And actually, this committee we're gonna have to celebrate Eastwood. We're gonna have to celebrate every school eventually. So this could be the foundation of all the schools, and you know, like we did Randallwood. I thought we sent Randallwood out pretty good, but I think we can do better. So very important. Next is the community meetings for the schools. We have these 3 dates. March 25th will be the Eastwood meeting. April 14th will be the John Dewey meeting, and April 28th will be the Westwood meeting. At these community meetings, we'll talk about, you know, inform the community that the schools are closed. We'll inform of our future plans, in particular with John Dewey being used as the middle school, Eastwood and Westwood. I think the board, and I am going to request that we have, on the 17th, we have some discussions about Eastwood on the 17th, just to talk about the options. I think everyone is clear on what our options are, that we can hold on to the building, keep it open. I mean, just keep it empty. We can sell the building, but we will have to offer the building to a charter school. Or third, we can demolish the building, and then we can determine once the land is empty what the next step will be. So at this meeting, we will have the city as part of the meeting, and their role in the meeting would be to just talk about zoning. What is possible zoning for the location? They determine what can go there based on their zoning of the city. So they'll talk about zoning. Again, the community and the council people, the first meeting I've already spoken to Councilwoman Mitchell. Councilwoman Mitchell will be part of the meeting also. So each councilman of each ward, invited them to be part of the meeting and the planning of the meeting, so that we can answer the questions that our residents have. At this time, Ms. Mitchell is gathering questions from the Eastwood community, so that at the meeting we're able to answer the questions. So are there any questions about the community meetings? We can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Superintendent Jolly, when are these meetings?
They're at 6:30, I'm sorry, 6:30. Each meeting is at 6:30.
Okay, thank you.
On Zoom, we have sent the Zoom information to the council people. We sent them to them.
Hey, Mr. Jolly, so I know we kind of spoke about this. So the expectation is that the city council person is going to let the other council members know?
Yes, so I did talk to Council President Howard about this situation. And I did share with him, like, I gave him the information, gave Ms. Mitchell the information, and they agreed with me that they informed the council. Councilman Howard informed the council of what we were doing. Now, he did share with me that some people want personal invites. So I asked the board, I am sharing with the mayor, I am sharing with the impacted councilman. I'm making personal calls. Do I call every council member? That's the question.
Can I say something? I don't think that calling them is necessary.
No.
I think as a courtesy, we could shoot an email to all of them, not just Warrensville. There might be council people on Highland Hills that might have some interest in this, North Randall. And if they don't come, at least they can't say that they didn't get the invitation from us. I know that we've done that in the past. Just shoot information out to all council members. So that's my opinion. If the other board members kind of want to chime in on it, but I think that as a courtesy, an invitation or something should be sent to all three communities that we serve, the elected officials, just letting them know. That's my opinion.
And I think that's real easy to do. And that's not additional work. So I think it's something that we will do in the next day or two. We'll send that out.
Superintendent,
Thank you.
Superintendent John, if you give the information to each one of the mayors, isn't it the mayor's responsibility to tell the council people instead of us? If we inviting each one of the mayors, and I know each one of them is not going to attend, but at least I think it's the responsibility of the mayors to tell them about this community meeting.
Honestly, it's not the mayor's responsibility. If it were to go to the mayor and the president of each council, and it will be the presidents of the councils. It is not the mayor's responsibility to pass that information.
It
So if
should.
it's not the mayor's responsibility, I
Okay,
know how
we
we
go.
function, but they function differently.
Okay,
So if
well,
we
we
could at
gonna
least get it
invite.
to the council presidents
Whoa,
for
whoa,
each
whoa.
of the council,
So
and then just
I hear what you're saying, guys, but if you're sending one email to the council president, look,
I'm just saying at minimum. I'm not saying don't. I'm saying at
Yeah.
minimum.
So I'm gonna stick with what I requested. And if you guys want to vote on this and I'm outvoted, then that's fine.
I don't think it requires a vote. I think
Okay.
it's
Don't need
just
to be
Mr.
voted on.
Okay, so I think that we should just send it to everybody. That way it's a done deal. I don't know how often Council President Howard speaks to the rest of the members. I don't know what their communication is like. I think that as elected officials and as board members, we know that council people are interested in knowing what's going on. So I think that it's our duty as board members to share information with stakeholders that want to be involved. So that's where I'm coming from.
Thank you very much.
Superintendent.
Go ahead, Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand what Member Gator's stating, and she's correct. I mean, if all of them voted for a $68 million levy to build a school, they should be part of it. I don't know how Superintendent Jolly want to send it out or how you want to handle that. But yeah, you can throw it out to them. But I just want to ask Superintendent Jolly, and I sit on this construction committee. The purpose of these meetings should be very, very well expressed, that we're going to share with them what we're doing and possibilities. But to have a lot of feedback come in from the three communities of what we should do and who should stay what, it should have a strong purpose of why we're having these meetings. And, we want to listen to all stakeholders and all residents, but our hands are tied as a district of what we can and cannot do.
That's correct. Duly noted, and I appreciate the feedback. We'll make sure that everyone gets the information.
I just have one more question, Mr. Jolly, and I think we can I think we've exhausted this topic.
Thank you.
When we do this, will it be like we do our school board members, those that are presenting, that will be on the Zoom call, and then all the rest of us, including the board, will watch via YouTube, because the board we're just community members at that moment.
Yes, we'll do it
Okay.
that way.
I just wanted to validate that so everybody understood.
And it will be carried on Zoom. I mean, not on Zoom.
On YouTube. Yep. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so this next one is the auction detail. This is for Eastwood and Westwood. So looking at both schools, and really in particular probably Eastwood, starting to get it prepared for the next is transition. So this is some preliminary dates where we inventory it March 22nd to March 26th, the week of March 22nd to March 26th. Auction preview on April 12th, and then the online auction will be on April 13th. The removal of the items April 15th to April 21st. At the March 17th meeting, I will share with you, I'm still talking to the auction company about how this is going to look in the contract and so forth. But I'll be able to forward that to you way before the March 17th meeting for you to preview. At the March 17th meeting, again, I'm asking that we can have an executive session to talk about real estate at that meeting. Because a very important direction I'm seeking, and in that conversation. And the next item I wanted to talk about, and I did share with the board, about the need for some type of alumni coordinator. As I review and looked at our district, and as we look to move to a new school, there is really minimal connection between the past and present. It is very fragmented. It's based upon classes or people who know people. We don't have an active database of who graduated from our district. We couldn't put our hand on anybody or anything at this point. If you look at or you model after districts that are successful, communities that are successful, there is a direct connection with the alumni who often form foundations. Like the Shaker has a foundation, Detroit has a foundation. Warrensville started a foundation, but with some alumni, I think it's on stagnant now. So what I want to do, the district does receive city county funds every year at the excess of probably about 40, 50,000. Is allocate part of that money to hire an alumni coordinator, beginning on a part-time basis. And this person would be the conduit and to develop us an alumni connection. They'll spearhead alumni. They'll work with the alumni association to do events, to bring alumni back to the district, to bring them back to the district, to work with like seniors and work with the staff, to build a lost alumni and establish a database, and to continue to just reflect on our district and uplift our district. There's some examples out there, mainly private schools have them, but this is something I want to try to implement next school year, to try to get somebody to get us a database of who actually graduated from the school. And you know, what everybody do is go to Miss Dean. Everybody go to Miss Dean for an old program to find out who graduated. We don't have any active way to get, like, you know, if you go to like my college, every year they send you something and then they put a book together. You buy the book and they got all the alumni, where their jobs at and so forth. I would like to establish that here in our district, beginning this summer, on a part-time basis, using city county funds to pay for it. So I wanted to see what the board's feedback was on the alumni coordinator position.
Board comments?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Roberts.
Madam Chair, Superintendent Jolly, I think it's an outstanding idea and I would be in support of it.
I think, Ray, you were going next.
Yeah, Superintendent Jolly, I think this is a great idea. Looking at Shaw alumni and other alumni associations, they do very well with keeping graduates that graduated from that high school informed of everything happening around the district. I know individually, all of us do that and we share it because some of us are alumni, but I think this is good that we can touch, because meeting people in the class of 68 and 72, I'm blown away the last 8 years of meeting those type of gentlemen and talking to them of what the district's doing. So yeah, we need somebody like that to give some of those people information. I mean, we got tigers in all kind of states. So I love it.
So I think you're going to be flooded with applications for this. I see that there's going to be a lot of interest from the community for this. So I think it's a great idea.
So what we want to do, we have to get the job description approved by the board. So I will bring it, have it on the agenda to get it approved. And then we could go out and try to find the best person to do this position. Again, I think one of the things that I want to do, and I know that this board wants to do, is lead systems that will last beyond us. I think this is something that we can leave and that will last beyond us. I think also and this is go back to the middle school and how we preserve the past, the history there. Same with Eastwood and same with John Dewey and Westwood. We gotta figure out a system to preserve the history because if you go to the middle school, there was a lot of like history on the walls and everywhere, and people actually painted over it. Like it had to be like 2012 or 11 or something. They painted over like years of basketball history, football history, everything. A lot of the other things are like missing and not there. I don't want to repeat that with us. There's a history that we all are part of, and I think we have to figure out a way to preserve it the right way. And I think having somebody responsible for alumni coordinator or something, then it's not put to a business manager or a principal who might not respect the history as much as an alumni coordinator might. I hope I'm explaining that correctly.
Yes, absolutely.
So do you foresee this individual being an alumni?
I think the best person would get the best person get the position. But I think the person would need somebody that will have to be somebody with tentacles to the alumni. They will have to be able to get to them. So it don't have to be an alumni, but it has to be a person who is able to navigate these networks that are not formal. Because there's no way you could go say the class of 2013 who the person is unless you know somebody who know the person, and it might not be the class president. It might just be somebody real popular that stay in contact with everybody. So you got to be able to get to the person or the people that can get you the information. So that's the kind of person we're looking for. It could be an alumni. I think sometimes they do have ends on different things, but it don't have to be an alumni. It's just the best person who has the ability to navigate through different groups.
Yep, it's a certain skill set. I agree. Okay.
And while we was in this meeting, Mr. Vaughn sent this to me. So, what is it called? The Coming to America 2 is coming out Friday. So they reached out to him yesterday. He sent me an email during the meeting. And they want Warrensville High School to fly the flag of Zamunda on Friday because Arsenio Hall is a graduate of Warrensville. So I don't have a lot of information on it. As I get the information, I will share it with you. But he sent this to me during the meeting. And with this, he's saying that there's a donation from Amazon coming with it. I don't have the details. I just have his information. I just pulled it up and put it on the PowerPoint. But Friday, Warrensville High School in Public Square will fly the flag of Zamunda in commemoration of Arsenio Hall.
I think
So
that's great.
I got to talk to Kayla because I don't know how we just got it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I want you the first to hear about it. I heard about it less than 30 minutes ago while we were in the meeting. So I want to share that with you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks for that update. It would be great if, as Kayla works with Amazon and Public Square, and if we could get a good PR out of that.
Yeah. So we got it late, so I will definitely keep working on that. That concludes all those different areas that we said we were going to discuss tonight.
Thank you. I do want to make a correction. I think I said Kayla. I meant Savannah.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say.
Sorry about that. Tonight's meeting was a good, very good meeting. Lots of good information. And that's so exciting to hear about them reaching out to us regarding the movie. Next on our agenda is item 5.1. We said we would come back this meeting and discuss the proposal for the OSBA new board member orientation guide. We would discuss it and vote on that, as well as the next phase of our strategic plan. So if I can have a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda items 5.1 and 5.2. And then once we do the motion, then we can have our discussion.
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve item 5.1, proposal for OSBA new board member orientation guide, and 5.2, proposal for OSBA next phase of the Warrensville Heights City School District strategic plan.
Thank you. May I have a second? Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. Now we can open the floor for discussion. Just as a reminder, this afternoon or late this morning, we received the formal, or I guess more formal quote from Cheryl Ryan of OSBA with the pricing for both the new member guide and the enhanced or totally built from new, our next phase of our strategic plan. So I don't know if everybody had an opportunity to review that, but she did send it, and of course I did it out of order. She stated that as a reminder, she talked to us about a template to use for the new member guide that would be $750. But in that, we would have to do the work to build that. I know we started the conversations where we built our outline of what we wanted to put in it. So we do have a framework to begin from, but we also have to have the man hours and the true capacity that it's going to take to write that, go through all the proofing, and get that ready to bring back to the board for review, continued edits, and then final development. If we work with OSBA to produce what we share with them, we want in there. She's known that the cost for the facilitated option is $2,000. And she did walk us through what that process would be to build that out. But I think we've done a lot of the groundwork ourselves. So I do want to put this on the floor for discussion. I do want to make sure that each member gets a chance to speak. So we will follow our board protocols, where one member will go round robin. We'll get an opportunity to speak, and we will not filibuster. We will speak our mind and let the next board member go. So I'm going to start off to my left with Mr. Roberts.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Chair. On the issue of the orientation guide, I kind of took the two in conjunction together. So is it okay if I speak about both of them at the same time?
You can, but I'd like to keep it clean because I think Mr. Jolly was going to weigh in on the strategic plan. Feel free to share your mind, but we're gonna lean on his recommendation for the strategic plan.
Okay, well, the way I was looking at it, I was thinking of the orientation guide would be kind of an offshoot of what we decided with the strategic plan. If we went with the higher amount with the strategic plan, which I think is the more important of the two, then I would look at the orientation guide differently. But if we went with the lower amount, then I would be more prone to spend the $2,000 on the orientation guide if we didn't spend $10,000 on the strategic plan. If y'all
So
understand
just to
what I'm
make
saying.
sure
There.
we're clear, I understand what you're saying. If we don't do a full-blown new district plan at 10,000 K, you are amenable to doing the $2,000 new member orientation guide and letting OSBA do the work.
Yes, ma'am. That's
Okay.
exactly my. Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Chair.
Go ahead, Barbara.
You're on mute, Barbara. Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
yes, you are.
My priority is getting these new schools built. A guide for new members is just not a priority for me at this point. I can understand it, but it's just not a priority for me. I just think that if you go back and read policies and read books, you should have some idea as to the role and responsibility of new board members. Do we need a manual and a guideline at this point? I say, no, we don't. Do we need extra money to make sure that everything is in place for our new school? Yes, we do. Um, for the strategic plan, I think we should focus on what we haven't done, because I believe a lot of the information in the strategic plan we have done already.
If I can
So how
interject real
many?
quick, if we can do one at a time, let's let everybody speak first.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So thank you.
But for the guidelines, don't
You
interrupt me no
you're
more.
not for the 2K. We get it. Okay, Mimi.
Okay, so
Oh,
no, I'm not finished.
okay.
So my biggest thing is, let's focus on what is more important at this time of the game.
We
Now you can
understand.
move on.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mimi.
Okay, Ms. Barber, I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you guys know this is something that I'm advocating for. I have a question for Dr. Rock, and it's about finances. So I know that we approved the board service fund. Is something like this, can it be paid for out of the board service fund? I mean, we're not using a lot of that money this year because we're not doing a lot of traveling. So it's not, if I'm correct, it's not necessarily something that we would be taking away from students. I mean, this is something that I think would have helped Earl at the beginning of the school year, especially going into a pandemic, instead of having to read 10 different books to get everything that he needs to get. He could have had one book that's geared specifically towards Warrensville. How do we handle parental complaints? How do we handle reimbursements for travel? How do we handle conferences? So it's specific to us. So Dr. Rock, am I correct? Is that, can we use the board service fund for something like this or no?
Yes, we can. And there's been very minimal spending in it this year, obviously. So that's a great candidate to where you'd be able to pay for, you could easily pay for both at the 12,000 and still be and have no impact on operational funds.
All right, thank you. So I don't know if that eases anything for you, Ms. Moomin. I agree 100% that our focus should be on what's going on academically. But as board members, we still have our own professional development to do and learning to do. And I think we owe it to each other to do just that. So I thank you all for your comments.
Thank you. Mr. Freeman?
Madam Chair, as far as this new orientation for a board member, I think it's well overdue. I know Ms. Gator has been fighting for this since 2014. I know when me and her was on the board in 2015, she did a lot of work on it. She produced 3 different copies of 3 different Ohio districts and what they had. I still think, like Superintendent Jolly said, we need something for new board members. I won't be here and the rest of you guys won't be here in the next probably 10, 20 years. So we need something to leave. As I always tell people in Warrensville, it's a legacy. We're trying to start a legacy and we needed something to help. I mean, Mr. Roberts didn't have it, and I don't think, but Mimi cuddled him or touched him or something. But I think we do. I'm not for spending a lot of money on it. I think, I know when Barbara had mentioned to me, we could do something small and just a nice little quick 8, 9, 10 pages of book and just give some important pointers like Miss Gator say. But I'm for it. I'm just not for a large piece of money. I don't care if it comes from the board service fund. I don't think we need to spend that much money. But I'm for it. I just think it should be very simple and very small. Thank you.
Thank you. So I wonder if we should pull this apart instead of trying to vote for both of them. So I'm going to ask that we rescind the motion and then we move to vote for each of them individually. But before we do that, I do want to share my thoughts. I hear and I fully understand everybody's concerns about the money. I am a money person and I know how important it is to be fiscally responsible for everything that we have under our fingertips right now. To Ray's point, we're not all going to be here. and we will be moving on to different things. We have an election this year, and we pray that we're able to have a solid election for us, but we don't know what the election season may bring. It is good to use the books that have been provided to us by NSBA and OSBA. And it's not that there would be a deviation from any of that information, but we have a plethora of information that's right here on our own board docs. And I will tell you, as a new board member, until I was forced to have to learn to go through our policies because of other situations, it was not always the first place I would go to look for information. I know that there are people that are not for this, so we have to respect each other in our thinking and in our opinions, because this is where we are allowed to have our own thinking and our own opinions. So while we may not all agree, we have to be respectful in our disagreement. And these conversations are difficult. We typically do not have difficult conversations, but I will ask that we be respectful to one another and all of our thoughts, our comments, and even our facial expressions. So, Mr. Freeman, if you could walk back that original motion and we'll just do 5.1 individually, then we'll do 5.2 so we can have a fair and equitable vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to recall board back item number 5, the board updates. I'd like to call back 5.1 and 5.2, but I call for a new motion for just 5.1, the proposal OSBA new board member orientation guide.
Thank you. May I have a second for 5.1?
A second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. I think we have all had the opportunity to speak on this particular topic. So, Dr. Rock, can you please go on and call the roll for the vote? And this is voting for, as you call your vote, we probably should state the lower price or the higher price. So the lower price, as a reminder, is $750 for the template, which will require the board to do the work. The second price is the $2,000, which would require OSBA to pull the bulk of to do all the work. So as you vote, please say which dollar amount you're voting for, and that way Dr. Rock will better know how the vote's going. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I vote yes for the $2,000 rate.
I vote no.
So you're voting for the $750.
I'm not voting for neither one of those.
Voting
Okay,
no.
thank you.
I vote yes, and I'm voting for the $2,000 booklet guide.
I would like to vote yes for the facilitated board handbook, the $2,000 two meeting and drafting plan.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm going to vote for the $2,000. So we have a vote to move forward with the fully facilitated development of the new board member orientation guide. And as a reminder, members Gator and Roberts will be working with OSBA. So as soon as you all can provide us with a timeline and what will be expected from the board, so we can make sure we can have those reviews at a work session, at least the discussion, so that we can discuss at the work session and we know which meetings to plug those reviews into. Thank you so much. May I now have a motion on the floor for 5.2 so that we can discuss the proposal of OSBA developing the next phase of the Warrensville Heights City School District strategic plan.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept item 5.2 for the Warrensville Heights strategic plan to be facilitated by OSBA.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. And this time I'm going to open the floor up to Mr. Jolly because we have had some preliminary conversations about this. And I do believe, Mr. Jolly, when you talked about this, we broached it at the last meeting. We talked about just doing an evolution of our existing plan. So I'm going to hand it off to you.
You're right. So it would be my recommendation that we look at our the Reaching New Heights plan and make some adjustments to that plan. I sent you a document. I sent it during this meeting, but for our next meeting, just looking at some of the progress we've made on our plan. If you look through here, the plan said implement universal pre-K to build early childhood education. We've completed a lot of that. Of that one, we've acquired more funding for the program. We've expanded our pre-K to ensure that most families in the city have an opportunity to attend. Use assessment data to make informed decisions. You know, it's ongoing because we purchase Illuminate. We do the state vendor approved assessments to monitor progress that's already and so forth. And we use our OST data to help drive instruction and staffing and so forth. I mean, I could go through all of these and for later, but a lot of these things are ongoing. We've doing or we've completed, and we have to continue to grow on. One that we probably have to look at a lot is the facilities one, in which we've completed everything in the facilities one. So all of those items are good. So it is my recommendation that we revisit this plan. As the pandemic has came, we have some new goals that we gotta add into it. But I think this foundation is very solid. The goals and areas will guide our work: culture, talent management, facilities, academic achievement. They should continue to guide our work, and we just add new goals to attain. So that would be my recommendation. We don't need a redo. Our mission, our vision is solid. You see it right there on the wall, right there. You know, they're embedded into our district. So it's just a revisit of each area and come up with new goals that's going to stretch us to achieve at a higher level. So that would be my recommendation. And I did send this document to the board for you to review.
Thank you, Mr. Jolly. So board, I think from our previous conversations, we are all aligned with just that enhancement of our existing. So is there any additional discussion or questions?
Madam Chair, I have one question. Well, comment and followed by a question. I'm reminded of a time frame prior to my serving on the board. And I was just a citizen of the city, and I attended a briefing. I think it was the state of the schools that Mr. Jolly gave at one of the hospitals. I was very impressed about the plan that he presented at that particular time, and I've also seen tenets of that plan already implemented. So at this time, I would like to ask Mr. Jolly to share with the board and the community the process that he went through to develop that particular plan.
Right, so there was two different processes to develop that plan. The initial plan started when I first came to the district. Ms. Gator was the board president. And at the time, the board authorized us to start a Return to Excellence committee. That committee consisted of board members, it consisted of community members. And in that process, we met at Tri-C Eastern Campus. And basically, when I first came, I presented all the areas of the district: the facilities, the curriculum, culture, you know, all those different things. And that committee at the time, which was, it was staff members, it was community members, it was business people, government, I think, Mayor Booker was on there. And they, in response to the issues that were presented in that plan, they made recommendations to the district. So that was and that plan was called the Return to Excellence Plan. So we got the Return to Excellence Plan. The Return to Excellence Plan kind of drove my work here for the first 3 years. On the second plan, this is when this board was intact, with the exception of you, were on this board. And that's when we had Cheryl Ryan come, and she facilitated the strategic plan that we currently have. So in that plan, we still have community members, parents on that plan, and we refined the Return to Excellence Plan. So we took some of the positive things out of it, added new things. We came up with a new mission and vision. We looked at the the Return to Excellence Plan had 9 different goals. We reduced it to 5. And from there, our current plan evolved. And with that, it drove our work to where we are today, sitting in this auditorium. So it started with Miss Gator and that group 6 years ago, because we didn't have any vision. I mean, coming in, there was expectations, but it wasn't put on paper. Then the plan got written. Once the plan was written, then we executed it. And once it was executed, we revised it. And now it's time to revise it again, because we came a long way from where we were 6 years ago, 3 years ago, not today. But the tenets of this second plan are the important guideposts to move us forward. So that's the process of what happened.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this before we vote? It feels like we're going to vote to do the evolution. So if there's no further discussion, Dr. Rock, can you please call the vote? And as a reminder, we are voting for the continued development and evolution of our existing strategic plan, which is the lower dollar amount, $900.
What is the lower amount?
$900.
Excuse me.
I will ask if we're not speaking, there's a lot of feedback. If we're not speaking, let's please keep our mics muted, because it's hard to hear.
Well, I have a question. What are we paying now?
For OSBA to work with us to evolve our current plan. We have to have someone facilitate it.
And so we have to get someone from OSBA.
They've already worked with us. They have the foundational material. We don't have to start from the beginning. With the new facilitator, go ahead, Mr. Jolly.
No, actually, they're cheaper, because if we get somebody else, it might be $20,000 to facilitate that. I think $900 is reasonable.
So all we have to pay is $900?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Long we don't pay no more.
No, this is because they've already been working with us.
I know that, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Dr. Rock, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, vote passes, motion passes 5-0. The next item on our agenda before we go into the review of our policy, there were classes that Member Gator has stated that she wanted to take through OSBA. So can we have a motion on the floor to approve her attendance at the classes that are listed? And then from that list, she'll let us know which one she's going to take. So we can have a motion first, then we can have the discussion only regarding her class, because we're scheduled to discuss this as a board on the March 17th meeting. May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. So we got an email. We've had several emails discussing this. And there are some additional board governance classes, webinars that OSBA is producing. There are a list of classes that Mimi shared she would like to attend. She wanted those approved before the March 17th meeting when we have our board discussion. So Mimi, can you let us know of the four, which ones that you wanted us to approve for tonight?
So really the only one that I'd like you guys to approve for tonight is the one that deals with monitoring progress towards district student achievement goals. And the reason I only want to do the one is because it's a webinar. And when I spoke with OSBA, she made it sound like I might be able to push the information to you guys to view as well. So if I can, get it ordered, go ahead and review it and then see if I can share it with you guys. So maybe it'll kind of help us with the discussion March 17th about the remainder of the classes.
Okay, thank you. So
Thank
we would
you.
only be voting on the first class on the list.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Rock, is there any discussion, questions, comments?
No.
All right, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll so that we can approve Member Gator to attend the first class on the list?
Mr. Freeman? Mrs. Gator?
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, board. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Next on our agenda, and I know this is we're kind of going up there tonight. We had been asked to review volume 39-1 of our updated policies. We received these hard copies several weeks ago, so I do hope everyone has had an opportunity to go through and review the policies. So, Mr. Jolly and Member Gator, do we need to go through them in totality, or are we just able to ask questions about those policies that we had questions about as we reviewed them, because it's if we did our homework?
So my recommendation would be to just kind of go around and see if anyone has any questions or comments about any of the policies. I don't think we need to go one by one. I have a few, but the questions that I have could very likely just be directed to Mr. Jolly and his team. So yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Okay, board, are we in agreement with that? All right. I just had two. Policy number 5517.02. It is the sexual violence. We're deleting that. My only question is, what are we replacing that with?
So it's replaced with the Title IX, 22. Hold on, let me get the exact number. 22-226-601.
601.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
226-601.
Yeah.
And then my other one was, and I know Mr. Jolly, we talked about it briefly before the meeting, but policy 2431, I see that in the GPA has been dropped to a 2.0 for eligibility for interscholastic or extracurricular activity for a student. I do, and you were sharing with me where the other standards have dropped for the state of Ohio. I even noticed that the NCAA clearinghouse standards have dropped over the past couple of years. So
I do want to speak on that. Actually, we rose them to 2.0. Before it was like 1.75.
1. Okay.
Yeah, we rose it to 2.0. I think we did that 3 years ago. We rose it up and no else. I think at this time, we want to get some flexibility because with may receive a failing grade, but we keep that 2.0 because of this COVID situation and online thing. So just give us a little flexibility at this time to ensure that we don't want this situation to hinder students, but they still got to maintain 2.0. So with that, that is why that is there.
Okay, thank you. Those were my only two questions. I thought the team did a really good job working on the policies, and it was really easy to review. Everything was very clear.
Okay, did anybody else have questions or can I jump in?
Go ahead.
I'll just jump in. So I wanted to ask about 6152, which deals with the waiver of school fees for instructional materials. So we have checked off students who qualify for free lunch after the start of the year may request a partial refund. I thought that all of our students were 100% reduced, free or reduced. Is that not correct?
That's not correct.
Okay.
We are under universal feeding though. So since we have
Okay.
a lot of students that qualify, we're able to feed every student. But we do not have, all our students are not, they're not, they're not. I think we're about 54% of our students actually qualify, but we are under universal feeding, which allows us to feed every student.
Okay, thank you. Maybe that's what I was thinking of, was the universal student feeding. So do we publish a fee schedule? How do you determine what fees are going to be assessed?
So the only place that really got fees is at the high school.
Okay.
And the high school is the one who, they have, it's online too. They got an online fee schedule at the high school. I'm not exactly sure that's communicated. I need to follow back up with that. But I know that the high school and Miss Rudolph have worked with Dr. Rock to make sure they could do it online and pay fees online. And generally, I can't say we didn't charge fees. We didn't pretty much ate everything. With the computers, I mean, we haven't really charged fees for lost books, especially last year and the year before. So that is something that we have to look back at. We have to really evaluate, because I remember when I was a principal here, we used to collect almost $30,000 worth of fees at the end of the year, because they used to track each book from the time a kid was in Westwood all the way to high school. When I came back, I did not see that same process in place. So that is something that we're looking at, and making everything digital so that it can be online and easier to track. Again, when I talk about record keeping, when I was here as the principal, there was cards for each student that traveled with them, and they were charging them kids at the end. We have not held no kid. I don't recall. I don't think we held any kid over no fees since we've been back, because of, I think, internal record keeping. So this is the first step in trying to reestablish that. So at the high school level, and we haven't held no transcripts of kids that moved that owe us money either. We haven't held anybody. So that is something that we need to start looking back at, because there's a lot of money, especially with all these computers and things we didn't gave out. Probably over 2,000 computers since March. A way of tracking and getting the fees back.
Okay, and then I just have another question on that same one. I knew there was one that I saw that, to me, it didn't look like the second page was checked off. On this one for the waiver of school fees, is that something that we should, like, you see where number C, there's a section here where maybe you could check it off as well as D?
Okay.
I know I'm kind of catching you off guard with this, and I apologize. I looked at it again last night and couldn't figure out which one it was, but it was, under procedures for resolution of disputes, item C and item D both look like there's a check mark of some sort for us to acknowledge which way we're going.
I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, it's on the back side of it. At least the copies that we got.
Yeah, I'm looking at it online. So you said school fees should not include, and then it says a charge shall.
Yeah, I'm coming to it.
And then it goes down to choose option 1 or 2.
Options 1 and 2. Option C and D. Am I looking at that right? Does it look like we need to check one of those?
I thought it was more of like an opt-out.
The superintendent denies a request for waiver.
Can I look at yours?
Yeah, and you know what? So look, we don't have to hold this up for this. This is just the first reading, correct?
Right. I'll come back to the second reading.
Yeah, you can come back to the second reading with clarification on it. I don't want to hold it up. I mean, otherwise I'm fine with everything in the policy.
Okay,
And then
615.
the last thing I wanted to get clarification on is on 1520. That's the one that deals with the employment of administrators. So we're listing who we're considering administrators. But so we've kind of changed it because before we listed everybody and now we're saying other administrators.
We're gonna go back to list everybody.
Okay.
I want to correct that. I'm looking at it. We need to list everybody because
Okay.
we have some confusion. You know, we don't want any confusion on who's an administrator.
Okay,
So-
yeah, I agree, especially when you go to that second section where it says any person employed as in a blah, 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 list all the different positions, needs to have a valid certificate or license. Well, not all of our administrators require a license. Yeah,
agree.
so
So
that was the only thing.
We'll populate that one back with all the names, all the positions on it.
Okay. Or do you guys have any questions or concerns with?
Can you write that down for me? Okay, yep.
Okay. That's all I have. And like Madam Chair said, I think you guys did a great job with this. I think there's one that we're still waiting on, right? Did we get the 6325? I know we got the 2431, but I don't recall seeing anything about 6325.
Let me see. Okay, we'll make sure you get that. If you haven't received it, we'll make sure you get it.
Okay, and then I would recommend, Madam Chair, if they can email it to us, rather than waiting and doing a second, just do it all at the same time, unless somebody has a concern with doing it like that. So just add that one as an emergency. That is all I have.
Okay, so Mr. Jolly, you'll make sure that that last one is emailed to us.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
325. I'm documenting it right now.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Then with that, do we have any correspondence, Dr. Rock? Are there any announcements?
Girls basketball.
Oh yeah, I do want to make an announcement. So the girls basketball team had a great season. Yesterday it did end. And Cargill Falls, they played an outstanding game. 7 players. They have 7 players on that team. First time ever in the regional, in the regional semifinals. Kudos to Coach Ortney for his hard work, dedication, and those girls who work hard every single day. We had, I think, 3 seniors on that team, and they're outstanding young ladies, and all are looking forward to playing collegiate basketball. And then tomorrow, our boys basketball team plays home against Gilmore in the district semifinal. If they win tomorrow, they will play Saturday at 4 o'clock at Warrensville Heights High School. This will be our first and probably only time ever hosting a district finals if we win tomorrow. I would strongly encourage the board, if you can, attend Saturday, that you do. If we win tomorrow, attend tomorrow, but if you can attend Saturday. If they do win Saturday, they will get to cut the nets down at Warrensville Heights Gym, which would be a historical event if we win tomorrow. So when we win tomorrow, Saturday, we will cut the nets down at the high school. The Black History program is on YouTube, and it'll be Friday at 6:30. I've had an opportunity to view the program. It is a K-12 program. You're going to see pre-K students all the way to 12th grade. I would like to publicly thank Ms. Sorrells, Ms. Savannah Heck, and Mr. Davis, who took the place of Jeanette, for their outstanding work in coordinating the program. The program was shot here at the elementary school in one of the pods, and you're going to see singing, acting, and it's something that we will do for the rest. It's a new thing that we'll do forever is a district-wide Black History program encompassing all our schools into one program. So this is the start of a new tradition in the district. And those people, Ms. Sorrells, who took the charge, Ms. Heck, who coordinated, and Mr. Davis, who was right there with her the whole time doing the outstanding work. And all our teachers who facilitated. If you saw on Facebook, Miss Lewis in the 3rd grade who did the upper middle school. And when you saw Barack Obama, you saw Jesse Jackson. I didn't put Jesse Jackson out, but you're going to see Jesse Jackson here. You're going to see Vice President Harris. You're going to see sit-ins. You're going to see some outstanding singers. Just the outstanding talent that this school district has, and the dedicated, committed teachers who invested in their own money in a lot of these things that you see. Again, and I say this repeatedly, and I worked in 2 or 3 different districts. Warrensville Heights has the best teachers that I've ever seen, who dedicated and committed to our community and our staff and each other. And the things that you see here are remarkable that I've never seen. So I say that in 25 years of being an educator, some of the things that go in in the classrooms here are unprecedented. And it's reflected in the report card. It's reflected in the enrollment. It's reflected in the parent satisfaction that you hear and see as you go out in the community. So thank you to our staff and the work that they do. And I just say, like us coming back to school, we didn't have to fight or argue or fuss with the union. They were wanting to come back. You know, everybody didn't, but for the majority, they did. And they're doing an outstanding job. And again, I can't say thank you more. And I try to every time we get on the meeting to say thank you. Because if you come in here and you feel the energy and you see the work and you see the happiness of the students, you know that you've invested in the right people. And that's, you know, our administrators and our teachers. So we thank you. And I thank you every day, because without them, none of this happens. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I don't think we can say kudos enough for all the work that you guys have done to make this happen and bring everything to life.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
we're gonna go ahead.
So mute. You're on mute, Ms. Woodward.
Oh, okay. I was just thanking you, Mr. Jolly. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just wishing our fellas all the best as they play tomorrow. I guess you'd have to let us know how we can attend. I do know there's still restrictions or limitations on attending the game Saturday. So if you can just push that information to us, so we can know, like you've been doing. You've been celebrating with us every step of the way with the kids. So just let us know, and we will attend as we can Saturday at 4. I do want to thank the board for a good meeting. I want to say this is probably one of the first meetings we've had in a very long time, where we had to have some challenging discussion. And I do thank everybody for the respect that was paid to one another in hearing all of our opinions, because all of our opinions are valid and they're equitable, because we are each entitled to feel and think the way we feel. So without any further yammering from me, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Go right ahead, Ray.
Madam Chair, I moved to adjourn tonight's meeting work session, March 3rd, 2021.
I second.
Is seconded. Meeting is adjourned. Everybody have a wonderful evening.